Throughout scriptures, we find God asking questions. God asked Adam, where are you, Adam? He asked Elijah, what are you doing here, Elijah? He asked Saul, why are you persecuting me? It's not that God doesn't know the answer. We know that he's all-knowing. He knows everything. But when God asks us a question, again, it is not for his knowledge. He's asking us because he wants us to stop and think and to consider, what is it that you're doing? He wanted he wanted Adam. Adam, why are you hiding? What are you doing? Elijah, I need you to think about, why are you over here? And then he comes back to Hagar. Hagar, where have you come from? Where are you going, girl? What are you doing out here? The thing that we note here, that the angel of the Lord, he calls Hagar by her name, and he calls her by the position that she's in the world. He calls her by name. He then inquired about her past. Where have you been? Where have you been? And then he asked her, now where are you going? And he's now asking her about your future. Have you thought about where you are going? Hagar, she could tell about her past, and she could tell that she was running away from Sarah because Sarah was mistreating her. And sometimes, and I give the Lord, I just bless the Lord, he's going to allow you to vent. She needed to get that out. She needed to get that out. She said, Sarah had been mistreating me, and that's why I was running. But the thing of it is, she couldn't address her future. She knew she was probably trying to get back home. She was trying to get back to Egypt, but she couldn't tell him how she was going to get back to Egypt. The thing that we can draw from this particular passage as the angel of the Lord inquires is that God always knows where we are. He knows where we are. He knows where we are physically. He knows where we are spiritually, emotionally. He knows where we are. The question is, do we know where we are? Where is our head? Are we thinking clearly, or are we reacting from hurt feelings and damaged pride? Have we thought through our circumstances, or are we just reacting to the environment that we're in? What are we doing? The question was asked to prompt Hagar to stop and to consider her situation. Hagar was in the wilderness. She was probably feeling sorry for herself. She was single. She was young. She was powerless. She was the personal property of Sarah. She was a forced surrogate. She was a womb that Sarah gave to Abraham to bear children. She was property. And I'm sure she was wondering how she was going to make it back to Egypt. She had no provisions. She had no resources. She had no directions. But what she did, like we often do, she moved out of anger and desperation. Hagar didn't think it through. How many times have we moved on impulse? How many times have we done something out of frustration or out of a desire to get away from the issue only to find ourselves in a worse situation? So here's the first point that we can take away from this story. The first thing is, Hagar had to stop running and had to face her problems. Like Hagar, we have to learn not to be so quick to run away from situations that make us uncomfortable and from relationships that are less than perfect. You see, there are too many friends, too many ministries, families, and marriages have been affected negatively and have fallen apart because one or all of the parties involved failed to come to the table and to talk it out with the people involved. They will talk to everyone else except the person or persons that they have an issue with. Most issues can be quickly resolved if we go to the source, find out the facts, instead of assuming that we know what's going on in another person's head. Deal with it. Instead of speaking to the issue instead of going to the source, they allow their hurt and their anger and their imagination to fester, and it turns into resentment and bitterness. All because we didn't go to the source. All because we may have heard it differently or assumed this is what the person meant. That's where a lot of problems come. We make an assumption that this is where the person meant. And even if they didn't mean it, what happened to talking it out? Everybody's grown. We're grown around here, right? So we have grown people here in this story. But nobody here was talking it out. She was running instead of dealing with it.